So here's the first hurdle that I am running into as I try to fill this up. That dome right there is made out of high density polyethylene, and the white pipes are made out of standard PVC. Well, the HDPE, or the high density polyethylene, is light, and so it floats. I had a suspicion that it was gonna be lifted up, but I thought the PVC pipes would hold it down. I guess it didn't. So what I'm gonna have to do is remedy this, because I can't continue filling up the water if this thing floats like this. So I'm gonna have to pour some water out first, and then see what I can do with the rest of with some water in here. I'm gonna have to walk in and then maybe drill some holes on there first to see how that works. If it doesn't work, then we're gonna add some extra weight. So we're just gonna put something there to press it down. So to get this up and running, I predict that we're gonna run into a number of little issues that needs remedy, but this will be fun. Using a very basic sump pump and connecting it to a pool hose, I'm gonna put a lot of this water into these bins temporarily and bring that water level down so I can walk down there. Yeah, these bins actually hold quite a bit of water. I want to say at least 200 or more. Well, definitely more than 200. This bin is designed with a bell siphon, and we're gonna see if this thing actually works. Based on the design of this, supposedly when the water reaches this level right here, it will create a suction, and we should be able to see the water coming out here. Right now there's some leakage, as you can see, probably because the fin is not tight enough. That's not a major issue. If it works, it works. Even a minor leakage is not going to cause any issues for it. So let's see. It's going to take another minute to fill up. Oh, look at that. So that end is where the stream is supposed to exit, and I guess water is already coming down there, which is good. That's a good sign. That's what we want. Alright, and then on here, let's turn our attention to this side. Let's see if this thing actually siphons the way it was supposed to. Super exciting. So the water inside this chamber, because it has perforations and spacing here and openings, it's always going to match this side. But obviously no pebbles coming in here, so that's what we really want. So siphoning is tricky, because if the water inlet is too high, the siphon not draining fast enough is going to cause an issue. Although this is not the same water inlet right now compared to when it actually is in operation, because the water flow will be gravity from this filter that goes into this bin. Okay, so here it is. So we should hear something. Let's see what happens. Okay, it's reaching the top right now. It just has to siphon once to determine that it works. Yeah, you see that the water's all around here. It's almost at the top. Oh, here we go, here we go. I hear it. Oh, okay, so it's coming out right there. Hear that? Okay. Alright, so let's assume we're not introducing any more water or slow it down, because this thing might not be fast enough. Yeah, so this is a 2-inch pipe. And yeah, this thing is, the water's coming in a little faster than what it can pour out. Alright, so let's just put this on the other bin and see how it drains for now. There we go. That's a good flow rate. I like that. We're gonna see how far down it actually drains. Well, water level is coming down right here. Oh, the siphon stopped. Okay, so something's not right. I wonder why the siphon stopped. I mean, this thing is airtight. Interesting. Okay, so something's wrong. Yep, something's wrong. It's not siphoning. Well, I tried a different tube, but the bell siphoning effect is still not working, so I'm not sure what's going on. It's kind of an interesting dilemma here. So now I got a bucket filled with water. So I'll be alright. I guess we're just gonna have to deal with. Have like a flood system instead. Oh well. Interesting. I thought it was gonna work, but I guess not. Maybe I should have experimented with it a little bit more. But this doesn't mean that the filters aren't gonna work. It just isn't gonna be a flood and drain like I intended it. So we're probably gonna drill holes on the bottom, let the water out, or even on the top actually to let it come out here. Maybe top and bottom. All right, we're trying this again. We got a piece of rock on the top, tied down a 15-pound weight. That's a big, thick piece of metal right there. Under the rock is also like a steel bar. So we're looking at around at least 50-something pounds worth of weight. It should keep it from floating up now. So that's a good thing. This might take a while. We are almost completely filled. It hasn't gone into the skimmer notch yet, so the niche I mean. So this whole thing actually took like 24 hours. It's pretty ridiculous. But we're getting there, and I'm gonna start putting water into these priming pots just to kind of fire things up. Alright, so all the priming pots got some water, all 8 of them, including this giant one right here. This is mostly just for testing purpose. If I really wanted to do this quicker, I can just put the water inside this thing and let it go back down here and it will just fill up automatically. But this is a good way to make sure that we're gonna test it out and put the covers back on, and I mean the lids, let's put it back on and make sure it's nice and sealed so that we don't have to worry about anything. So the water is getting now to the skimmer notch, so we should be able to test it right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the lids back on and we're gonna fire it up for a test run. So now we're gonna connect these outlets here. The outlet is gonna go into the circulation pump and then extend it to another outlet strip, which then allows us to connect all 8 pumps. This little stainless box actually has this key right here. Kind of pointless in my opinion, but I guess it's just part of it. Alright, so we're gonna connect this here, and then I'm gonna use a kilowatt meter to kind of demonstrate and show how much power it's actually drawing when it's in operation. So give me a second, I'll put all this together right now. Okay, so the circulation pump is connected to the strip. The kilowatt is here, and then this one goes to another strip right here, which then powers 4 pumps. One outlet is connected to this strip, which is powering the other pump. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and if everything's okay now, as it should be, let's go ahead and turn this on and see what happens. Oh, look at this, I'm already seeing a little bit of a leakage on this union right here. So it looks like I'm gonna have to tighten that up. Let me see. You know what? Let me see what's going on. Okay, just had to tighten that up a little bit. Alright, here we go. Hopefully, you know, this thing is connected to a GFI receptacle right there, outlet, which sometimes with these pumps I've seen it cause it to trip. If it does, we're gonna have to do another route, but let me turn it on and see what happens. Alright, all the things are lighting up. Yeah, see that? Okay, it tripped. So that tells me that there's some current leakage with some of these pumps right here. And that is not what we want. Alright, so let me turn this off. Then I'm going to run a line that does not have a GFI. So hopefully it actually works. Okay, so we are now connected to a standard non-GFCI outlet. Let's see how this works. Hopefully we don't have any trip. Okay, here we go. Power's on. We got the pumps, LCD numbers in red. They're all priming. Yep, you hear that? The prime's good. It's all 60 watt right there, which is the lowest setting on these pumps. And we have power draw, voltage 110. Okay, let's see. Wait a minute, we need to go to a different one. Cost, rate, kilowatt, elapsed time. Oh no, I want to see wattage, not hertz. Okay, watts right here. So this is how much power withdrawn in the whole system. 520 watts. Let's see how the waters are coming out this side. Okay, let's see. We got some water leakage somewhere here. Okay, water's coming down here. Oh, I think some of them are still crying. Water's coming down this one. Oh, you gotta tighten this one. This one's got a little bit of leakage right here. Okay, we got water coming here. Water coming down this one. And I assume right here too. Trickling. It's still a little slow, so let's wait for the system to get all the pumps up and running. You can hear all the air. That means it hasn't been fully evacuated the vacuum yet. Yeah, there's still a lot of air in this pipe, so it's gonna give it a second. Yeah, so all these pumps are drawing 60 watt. Oh, this one is going 80. Oh, let's go down to 60. I have to start numbering these as well, actually. Okay, let's see where we're at. See that the sound of the sound of the turbine spinning has reduced. Not turbine. The word just escapes my mind right now, but the propeller, the impeller, it's getting more water in, so there's less of that sound. So once it gets full suction and vacuum, it's gonna be a lot quieter. So there's more water coming out of that one right now. That pipe, which is good. Okay, water is starting to come on this one. So as this thing fills up more higher, the water level gets higher here. It'll start coming out of these teeth right here. Here's looking good. This one's looking good. I might have to chop this one. Maybe chop it down here. This is too far.
Okay, so here is the preliminary test run, and the water flow is not as ideal as I would have liked it. The way I designed it in hope was that it would flow from there all the way down to here and sweep, but as you can see, a lot of water is coming out on this side because apparently these are pretty low area right here, so a lot more water coming down through these areas rather than to that end. I'm not sure how I can address it. I mean, I did bring up the size a little bit already with the border, but that's still happening. Maybe I need to get that pipe right there, that blue pipe, and aim it down to here so that there's more water coming down here. Yeah, but that's the way it's going right now, so I don't know how it's actually going to sweep. And it has to be able to skim the surface somehow. If it's going down to that skimmer niche, that's a problem because nothing's going to get skimmed right there. So there's going to be a couple of things that needs to be revised. But overall, when it's running, this is how much power we're drawing. Only 502 watts. Extremely efficient for this system and for the scope of the system and the size of the system. That is a very efficient water flow. Very power efficient. But I think in the future I might have to do some upgrading, get some more power, some more pumping here. Okay, so we're gonna activate the clean cycle to see how much power it actually draws when the motor and the solenoid valve turns on. Okay, here we go. That's weird. It went down a little bit. Cleaning pump right here, circulation, and the drum filter. No, that's something's wrong. It didn't spin. Let's try this again. That's weird, the power didn't go up. But water came out. Let's go up here and see what's going on. Looks correct. Okay, so all the water is coming in from here and there. Let's see. So here is how we are addressing the issue of water overflowing onto the end that we didn't want. I basically welded up a wall around the perimeter again. I had already previously elevated with concrete, you see right there,
but it's still low. So now that I put this wall up, let's power it up and see how it goes. All right, here we go. Okay, we got, all right, powering up. There's the pump. It's a little loud. I'm gonna tighten this thing down a little bit on the lids. Well, it's priming right now. It actually doesn't sound too bad. I think when we had a lot of water flowing down here, it was worse, but now it seems not too bad. Still got that humming noise. Yeah, so we'll see water's on the flow here. It's gonna be pulling from the pool, so it's gonna drop down a little bit. I think the water will go up pretty high somewhere around here, which means we're gonna need more pebbles here. What I'm gonna do is, I think I'm gonna reduce some of these right here. Gonna bring down the flow a little bit. That way, more of it can go onto the bigger 4-inch pipe. Likewise, this one right here. This one gets a lot of flow because it's all the way down here, so it's the easiest path. But I have to reduce that as well because we just want some water here. We don't want too much. We want them to be on this side just as much, if not more. Yeah, so it's taking still taking time priming, so let's see. Ultimately, what I really want is this end to have the highest flow. I essentially only want this end to have water coming out, because like I mentioned previously, I wanted to sweep this thing down here. So as we build up the pumps is getting higher, the more water's coming out. Hopefully nothing gets loose. Well, I'm hoping the water's not going to flow out on any other areas except here. So we're going to wait and see how it does. Alright, so we still got some water coming onto the side right here. One area, small little drips, not too bad. It's not going to eat away from the water coming out that side. But let's check this out. So this is what's really cool right now. So if you're looking at the piece of leaf down there, you see that? It is slowly getting pushed down and it is sweeping towards the bottom. That is because as that current or as that stream builds up and all this water in this area gets filled up, so more of it comes down here, this is what's going to happen. It's going to start pushing things down towards the bottom drain. See that leaf going? Yeah, that is exactly, and those leaves right there too, you see that? All the debris and detritus, it's getting pushed down towards this where it gets sucked up, and that is what we want. The only issue is on the back end here, there's really no current on this side pushing it down. So, but it's a very steep angle, so most likely, you know, with the natural swimming of the fish and creating its current, it's gonna push everything down. But look, all those things are getting sucked into the bottom drain. Let's see how it goes. This is exactly the effect that we're looking for. Yep, there we go. As long as it gets under the blue dome, like that, there we go. There we go.
That's all we're looking for. Because as more fish are added here, you know, they eat, all the poops come out. Ultimately, they're going to, you know, we have to sweep all that. So if the water is going to drive it down here, that's good. The other thing I'm concerned about right now is that there's actually no current circulating here. So that thing is dropping down, which is good, but there's no current circulating for the skimmer to work properly. See that? So if there's no current pushing things on the top towards the skimmer, we're not going to be able to skim much of the surface. So we're going to have to fix that as well. Yeah, but okay, I'm okay with this right now. I mean, there's some water coming out there. That's okay. It's not as much as before. Most of it's coming out this end, which is what we want. But right now, we're seeing a lot of water build up here, and it's gonna come out, which is not good. We don't want that. So, might have to see what's going on. I might have to weld this again to make sure no water comes out here, because we don't want this. We want water, you know, staying contained and coming back in there. Water that comes out here is a potential issue. But see this current right here? This is important because we want the water to be moving around and not stagnant, because otherwise, you know, we're gonna get a lot of mosquito larvae. Yeah, so this is not what I want right here. So this is an issue. Water's coming out this way now. That's gonna be a problem in the long term. But it looks like this area is very low. Alright, so this wall basically got bent because it was just too much water, so it couldn't hold it back. But I like the current that it's actually creating though. It's actually pretty cool. I wonder if this can constantly happen where like it comes up and then when it builds up it drains down. I think if that is something that could happen, I would very much like that, because then it creates a really interesting current that pushes everything down. So to address the issue of water flowing out on this side, what I'm gonna do is bring it up. I had already previously brought this up by building this like mound around it, but as you saw, when we started flowing water in here and it started filling up, this part was actually could be a couple of inches higher. So I put a little form around here, and I'm gonna go ahead and caulk these areas here. I kind of sealed up with a combination of these like aluminum duct tapes here, and stuff some paper here, and then we're gonna run a line of caulk here to keep everything nice and sealed. We don't want any concrete to get inside the water. And then we're gonna bring up the concrete maybe up to here in this area, just so that everything flows back out. I want this liner comes down here. It's just simply that I didn't grade this properly, obviously, and the way it slopes, some of it actually comes down here. So yeah, we're gonna just address that issue, and then we're gonna let it dry for a day and come back and test it out again. But so far, a lot of these issues that are coming up have been pretty minor. They're nothing too crazy, so they're all fixable. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and run some caulk around here, and then put the concrete on. There you go. So pretty simple black silicone bead, just to put all around it. Gonna have to wait a couple of hours, let it dry up, and then we can put the concrete on. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to bring it up to the point where it's higher here, so that the water will just flow back out. We don't want any water on this side. That's the main goal of this of this change right here. As you can see, I peeled off the forms and brought it up quite a bit. which allow this part to come up, so water's not coming out this way anymore. And in those areas I have to jam stuff to kind of make that flap not bend down, because the water apparently is really high up here in this area. Anyways, those bins, they were actually siphoning the way I wanted, but it was causing me a headache because every time it siphoned, the water level here would change, and I predict that with that constant water siphoning, it would really make the skimmer impractical. So I went ahead and got rid of the siphoning effect. Just drew some holes into it and it was good. So here on this side, the water's coming out here. It is creating a current, but it's not a very strong current, which is fine. As long as we have current in a circular motion, that's all we want. But then I ran into an issue, and so here's the next thing that I have to address. That skimmer niche right there, that skimmer line is shared with the bottom drain in the original plumbing for the pipe, for the pond. So the piping is 1.5 inch, and there's 2 of them, and it went into that right there, that leaf basket and this pump. The problem is that this pump is only 60 watts, and so it's not creating enough suction to get the skimmer effect to work on this side. So I have to do something about it. Either I run a separate skimmer, or I change up that pump to something like twice as strong, and hopefully it creates more suction, because I'm not skimming anything at the moment. Alright, aside from that, yeah, it's, so far it's looking okay. I'm gonna let it run for a while and see how it goes.
To facilitate more skimming action and suction on the bottom drain and the skimmer line in the old circuit, I'm gonna switch to a different pump now. It's gonna be the newer version of the Pariah pump. It's not under the name Pariah, but it's a Seaside Aquatic pump. It looks exactly the same. It's got a flow rate of 3,300 gallon on the minimum based on what it's saying here, and at 160 watts it gets twice as much. Well, these are pretty bold claims, but it doesn't really matter. I just need to create more suction, and I'm willing to get a bigger pump just for that one particular line. These controllers are kind of different. Even though they look the same, they actually have the ability to increase the setting from 80 to like 80, 100, 120, 140. So you're able to use more setting from this one compared to the old one. Those old ones over there, those right there, they have like basically 3 power settings, but I think this has like twice as many settings. So that's it's pretty important. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and take that one out right there, and then I'm gonna switch it on. Okay, we have suction now on this line. You see that vortex right there? That's what we wanted. Turns out the priming basket, the O-ring was in the wrong groove. This O-ring was also a little bit out of, it got bent a little bit, so it wasn't sitting correctly. So redoing all of that. The water is now going through, which is great. Unfortunately, it's using 160 watts, which is almost 3 times as much as the other one, but sometimes you just have to make sure that you have the right amount of suction just to get the line to work. Otherwise, I would not have any skimmer and it would have been a mess. So it's a give and take kind of a deal going on here. Alright, so that's important. So that problem is solved. Now I still got one more pump that needs to be corrected. This line right here was teeing off into here, but for whatever reason, I don't know why, but it just wasn't pumping correctly. Like, it just wasn't pumping, so I chopped it off, capped this in. I'm gonna run this one to here instead. Just gotta get some glue, shut this down, and put this back on. I purchased this pretty inexpensive $25 skimmer. It goes into that niche. Hopefully it fits. It looks like it could fit. but it's got a pretty big opening right here. Inside here there's a basket, and for $25 it came with all these attachments here, which is actually pretty nice. I mean, I think it should be able to fit. The bottom's got a threaded female pipe. The opening here is good. I think it makes it easier for it to actually skim, because my water level is constantly changing from the siphon. And the one I currently have right now, just sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So this isn't really made for a pond, but I think it should just work. This looks good. It's got a little leaf basket that's perforated. Pretty nice. I'm gonna try this out and see. So here is the finished skimmer. It's got the lid on the top. It's got this little flap here, little attachment at the bottom. Let's see, in my head it should work. So let's see if it actually does work. Let's go ahead and install it. Water's been running for 2 days now. Seems to be doing pretty good. It is clearing up as the sediment is settling, and all the dirt and everything either gets filtered or just gets onto the floor. So the floor of the pool right there, you see all those little black spots right there, that's basically either dirt or sand or bits and pieces. Slowly, I mean very slowly, they make their way to the bottom drain. But it is a process. I think once the fish starts moving in here, it will be faster, but relying on the current for that purpose alone seems to be a lot slower. The siphon actually works. Check this out. Drill a hole right here, and then it's, when I plug it up, it just works automatically. I think this kind of flushes out more dirt and stuff, so I'm gonna leave it. With this new skimmer, the inlet hole is pretty big, so the water level isn't too impacted. This one's not siphoning for whatever reason. I have to figure this one out. But look at this, see? I like this. The fact that it siphons like this is pretty helpful. See the water level dropping? So it's been cycling water quite nicely, no major hiccups. Everything seems to be okay, and I thought perhaps it might be time to put a fish in there to see how it do. But you know, you can't just throw a fish in there. You got to do a water test just to make sure how things are. And unfortunately, well, let me go down on these vials to kind of give an idea of what's going on. So the KH test for the swimming pool took 10 drops, so it's got a good amount of calcium carbonate in there, which is good. Did an ammonia test for fun. There's slight traces of ammonia. It's nothing to worry about, but the most important thing to worry about is actually the difference in the pH. So if we look at the pH right here, my pH is between 7 and 7.5 for the current pond. But the one right here on the left, the swimming pool, pH is very high, literally like off, like on the upper 8 or 9 range. So that pH is a little bit too much. We don't want to risk putting that fish in there yet. So what I'm going to do is slowly bring up the pH on this one, which is my pond. I think with the heavy feeding, the pH has been dropping. So I'm going to bring that up. And then what I'll do is bring this down, or mix that water in there a little bit. So I'm gonna bring up some of this water, bring it to the pond, and kind of bring that water down here a little bit. That way we can minimize, you know, replacing water, but actually like trying to equalize it. So I'll be doing that before I put a fish in. I think the pH difference is too great for me to attempt right now. So what we're gonna do is balance the pH on between the two, and I'm gonna draw out water from the pond through the pump here. Gonna let it come out here.
and I'll probably take 10% or 10-20% of it. Then I'll put the water from this pool back in there. That way we're able to kind of slowly bring it up, and I'll do this once every day until we get a good balance. You don't want to do it all at one time. It's going to mess things up. It's going to kill the fish. So we're going to do about 20% change on the water and bring it into this pond. This way we're going to get better pH balance and also get the KH value to kind of equalize. But the most important thing is the pH, but you don't want to do it all at one time. Just slowly bring it up. The fish can take 8.5 pH no problem, but as you can see, the pH in this pond was 7.1, 7.2, so it's a little bit low. So I'm going to do 20% change. I'm not going to waste the water. I'm going to bring it over here. Actually, it's also a good idea because that water has the chemistry that we want for the fish, and when you bring it in here, we'll be able to get some of the bacteria slowly introduced in here as well. So it's not bad at all, and that way you don't waste a whole new, 1,000 or 2,000 gallons worth of water. Okay, so I'm now pumping the water back and it's almost filled up. So I'll be rebalancing the two ponds for the next few days until I get the pH that's pretty close to each other. Then I can trust to put a fish in there and test it out. But otherwise, I'm gonna keep doing the balance until I feel like it. I'm comfortable with the parameters. So this morning I'm back at it again, balancing the pH between the two ponds. So here's this light blue turquoise hose coming from the smaller pond. That one is lower in pH, is bringing the water over here. And I'm using another pump to bring the water from this pond into here. So I started yesterday a couple of times. Just every time I did it was like maybe 10-15%. And I'm just going to slowly bring up the pH in this pond. So I'm going to do a test, and I'm going to see where we're at. It might take a few more days of balancing to get the pH at or similar to level. Once I get enough of a balance, then I can introduce a few fish from here and put it in there. And also by putting this water into this pond, we can start the nitrification process a lot faster because this water has all the chemistry already. In addition, this water has ammonia, nitrite, and nitrate. And normally when you start the nitrification cycle, you're starting from scratch with ammonia buildup, right? Before you can get the nitrite and nitrate. But this water, when it comes from the other pond, it's gonna have all those, all three of those chemicals in there. So we're basically cycling and starting 3 sets of bacteria at the same time. And I think in a few days, once I add the fish in, I can start adding the live bacteria from that Keaton Labs. That way I can cycle this much faster and more effectively. So I'm gonna go ahead and do a quick pH test to see where we're at, and I'll post the result right now. Okay, so in these two vials, the one on the left is the KH test for the swimming pool. It still took 10 drops to get it to change color. So 10 degrees of KH hardness. The pH is still at around 9 or higher because the scale only shows 9. And that right there is from the swimming pool. So now we're gonna get 2 more vials for the pond and see where we're at. Okay, we're gonna do a pH test on this one. Let's see where we're at. Been changing water since last night or yesterday afternoon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Yesterday was at pretty low, just above 7. So let's see where we're at now. Okay, it's gotten a little darker. That means the pH is increased a little bit. Definitely not as high as this one. Now we're gonna do the KH. Yesterday we got 5. I put some extra baking soda, and since we introduced some water from the swimming pool, let's see how many drops it takes to turn it yellow. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that's 5 first. Looks like I'm gonna have to flip it upside down. So that's, oh, see, look, it's pretty light. So that's 5 drops, and it's already this light. So that means all it is just another drop, and then it'll be yellow, which means we have 6 degrees of KH hardness, which is a little bit above 100, I would say, which is not bad. Not bad, but you know, with heavy feeding in the summer, it definitely goes crazy. See that? Alright, so we got 6 degrees of KH hardness. So we're not there yet. We're gonna have to do this a little bit longer.